Hello, hello, hello. Today's January 22nd, 2025. It's been a while since I've journaled, longer since I've made a video, but recently I just wanted to hop on here because I couldn't help but be reminded of the powerful, I guess you could say, Zorba the Greek, which is originally a book by Nikos Kazantzakis. Not the best with that, but it's also a movie, and I think it's been in play as well. Either way, I couldn't help but be reminded of it because I went back to one of my old jobs. One of my old coworkers, Glenn, kind of reminded me of Zorba, retroactively, I guess, or proactively. Either way, he reminds me of Zorba because he's kind of this like free-spirited guy, right? And he was talking to me as I've been looking for jobs and, trying to continue on with the next chapter of my life. And, he knows about my channel. He knows that, it's gone all right for me. And he was like, why aren't you making videos, man? And I was like, all right, Glenn really is Zorba because he's trying to get me to act. And while Glenn or Zorba might not be the best people, which I'll talk about later, well, they might not be like the best people, and by that I mean role models. It's not as if they're like evil people, but we'll talk about it later. But it reminded me because Zorba the Greek to me is mostly about action over consideration or like reflection. When you read Zorba the Greek, Zorba will engage with like intellectual discussions, but he eventually gets tired of it. And he's also of the opinion that some things are better said through like dance, through action, literally action. Some conversations you couldn't have through words, which is an interesting philosophical question in its own right. But lately, I've had more time to consider than to act. And I think that while this is a relative aside, I think that that sort of lends itself to a less happy life, but it also seems to me, as if this is novel, but action seems to produce more awareness of like the special nature of life, however you want to put that in a hippie-ish kind of way. But I was, reading some analysis of Zorba the Greek, and it says action over the detached lens of intellectualism. And, as a way to live, not as like a way to understand the world per se. You're gonna be more free, you're gonna live more authentically through action than through the detached lens of intellectualism. And it really is, an intriguing concept. I've thought about the contradictions of writing such a book about that idea, because you're contributing to the detached lens of intellectualism in a way, but that's I don't think that's a gotcha that I can truly make. I'm trying to probably employ some circular argument there, but either way, after I first read it, I understood what Kazantzakis was going for, right? I understood that this guy who becomes friends with Zorba learns a lesson, gains valuable memories, and gains a good friend that he'll never forget, that really kind of opened his eyes. I understood all of that. And to treat life like it's fun, really. It's kind of what it boils down to. But I was concerned somewhat about the morality of Zorba. Towards the later stages of the book, he does end up using a woman for pleasure, whether that be sex or food or a place to stay. But he also built a relationship with a lady who in the book is looked down upon for her sexuality. She's kind of just openly into it, which at the time and in such a small, quaint village wasn't the best thing to do. And so maybe Zorba's confusing morality was written purposefully, or it was a byproduct of its time, right? This was written in 1946, and it wasn't the most progressive time necessarily, along the lines of gender and all that sort of thing. The nuclear family was just beginning after all. Although I do think that this author was kind of ahead of all of that. But there's actually not a whole lot to read about this author. So if you have anything interesting, let me know. But either way, it accepts a heavy yet beautiful part of life. Zorba ends up telling the narrator, "I've done things that would make your hair stand on its end, but haven't we all?" And that's just pretty powerful, right? Like, Zorba recognizes that he does bad things. He might have used women before. He's probably stolen. He's killed before. But we all make mistakes. It's that cliche. And so this narrator, which I relate to quite a bit, is sort of always dwelling on mistakes and dwelling on things that could be better, and it really pervades his mind. But Zorba has accepted it, and there's a great passage about him eating cherries, I believe. Like, he couldn't get enough cherries, and he eventually just ate all the cherries that he could possibly find just to get over it. Like, it's all about action. And so, like I said at the beginning, Zorba might not be the best role model. You'd probably be worried about sending your kid to Uncle Zorba's for a week or a weekend. But he's a great reminder for life, right? Like, it's not as if you're gonna make sure Uncle Zorba never comes around. In fact, you probably want your kid to spend a little time with him, although you might not send him there for a weekend, or them, or she, or whatever. But yeah, that's really the main takeaway from Zorba the Greek here. I read it a little while ago, and I do like it. It obviously has like a tinge of existentialism, in the sense that, life is shocking, but it's also awesome, and you create your own meaning. And so yeah, that's really it. I don't necessarily want to go on a huge long rant about not making videos. I'm aware that I've not made videos. I'm gonna hope to do it again, because action is key, and I've found alternative ways to express myself other than these videos. But in sort of my heart of hearts, if you will, I do know that expressing myself in a way that hopefully brings people together, whether it be videos, writing, whatever, I know that that's something I really want to try and do. So yeah, hope you all are doing well. Maybe we get more personal as further videos come out, but right now, just wanted to talk about Zorba the Greek. Peace and love.